Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror film reviews, ratings, rankings, and rumors. Now for your hosts, Danny, Joel, and Katrina.
Ooh, yeah, this is Scare Talk. Yeah, my name is Danny, and I'm here with Kinetic Katrina. Yeah.
Hey.
And we've got John Kramer, Joel.
Okay.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, Joel.
That's a different franchise, but okay.
We're not going to talk about Saw. We're going to talk about brand new movie from this year, 2023. It is The Boogeyman. Yeah, the Boogeyman.
Woo!
All right, Joel, who is in this?
All right, so this one stars. We got Chris Messina. He was in Devil, a movie that we need to review.
Yeah.
He was in Argo, and 14 episodes of The Newsroom, which is almost the entire show, I think. And the newest movie, Air, which is on. I haven't seen one yet, but it looked pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
And then, and then we got Sophie Thatcher. She's Sadie. She's the oldest daughter. She is in 2 episodes of The Exorcist, that show that was on a few years ago. Years back. The Tomorrow Man, which I think is an action sci-fi, and 19 episodes, which is the entire run so far of Yellow Jackets on Showtime.
Okay.
So, and then we got Vivian Lyra Blair. She's Sawyer. Her name is bigger than she is. She's a little girl. She was in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, 6 episodes, where she is Leia Organa, aka Princess Leia. Yeah. She's in 7 episodes of Fatal Attraction.
Okay.
A show that came out this year, I think, or last year. And 6 episodes of Waco. As well as Bird Box. Yeah. She's quite the she's been in a lot of stuff for as young
for her
as
age.
Yeah. A lot of like big name movies and shows.
Yeah.
And this was written by Scott Beck. He did the screenplay and the screen story, which I'm not entirely sure what the difference is in that.
Screen story. All right.
Screen story, yeah. Their story, their screenplay, and then their screen story.
It's because it's
a
Stephen King story.
Yeah, which is apparently very different from his version, which I want to read because his short story is only 15 pages. Kind of want to read it.
Wow. Okay.
We should have done that before we.
Yeah.
He did the screenplay for A Quiet Place. 65, which is sci-fi. It's like a dinosaur movie kind of thing, and Haunt as well. Yeah. Okay. And the same with Brian Woods. So I think they're a team. The Scott Beck and Brian Woods. They're the from the guys that bring you A Quiet Place. Like that's like their big thing that they that they're known for. And then we got a third writer. This one, hour and a half long, takes 3 writers to make. He did a screenplay. For this movie. He did Black Swan.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. 17 episodes of Strange Angel, which I don't know anything about. And Skeleton Twins, which is a comedy with Bill Hader. So his is kind of like all over the place for the most part. And this was directed by Rob Savage. He directed Dashcam, which was Danny's favorite movie of last year, as well as Host.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. And 3 episodes of Britannia, which I don't know about that one, but I liked Host. I still haven't seen Dashcam, but I liked Host.
Oh, you haven't seen Dashcam?
No, not yet.
Yeah. I mean, you might like it.
It's a must see.
Some people like it.
Yeah.
Some people like it.
Yeah.
Some people
do like it.
Isn't that true of like any movie?
Yeah.
That
I
is-
mean,
yeah.
you have to find the main character enjoyable.
Bearable.
Yeah, you have to find
Yeah.
her. You have to find the humor in it
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
not just be annoyed with it. So
Yeah.
there's a fine line.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so the synopsis here. Still reeling from the tragic death of their mother, a teenage girl and
Teenage ghoul.
a teenage girl and her younger sister find themselves plagued by a sadistic presence in their house and struggle to get their grieving father to pay attention before it's too late.
Pay attention to me. I'm in high school.
All right, so this was one that I had mentioned in our episode of the upcoming and most
Mhm.
anticipated films of the year. I was excited about it. I think you guys, I know Katrina wasn't really excited about it. She was contemplating going at all. And Joel, you were lukewarm on it, kind of.
I think the fact that this was a Stephen King short story kind of got me more excited about it. But I had seen the 2005 Boogeyman. I was not impressed. So I wasn't sure if it was gonna the story of Boogeyman really hasn't been done that well in the past.
Yeah.
Or any type of story where there is like a creature hidden in the darkness or whatever.
Yeah.
Those stories aren't really done that well in the past. So
yeah,
because of that, I wasn't too excited. But the fact that it was Stephen King did get me more on board with it.
Yeah.
So
so I was excited because of what you said, Joel. Like, and I don't think I think it's a very known story or fear.
mhm.
Like, as a kid, the monster in your closet, the monster under your bed, the boogeyman.
Yeah.
But I don't think there are actually too many movies about that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like it's a thing that everybody knows, but I
Mhm.
don't feel like it ever comes to film very often. I mean, the tropes of, the monster lurking in the darkness or whatever
Yeah.
is in, movies, but it's not played in the way of the boogeyman where,
Mhm.
is it in the closet? Is it under the bed?
Yeah.
That hasn't been done much other than the one you were talking about, Joel. So I was excited because I was like, okay, I think this is going to be kind of fun. The trailer did not get me too excited though. And then when I found out it was PG-13, then I wasn't super excited after hearing about that either. But I was holding hope that it would be good. So
Mhm.
I was still excited, just not as excited.
Yeah. Got your
then I
hopes down a
started-
little bit.
Yeah. And then I started hearing some early reviews that it
Mhm.
was pretty good. So
Well,
I was ready after that to let's see.
yeah.
So we're going to talk about it. This is a new movie, so we're not going to talk about spoilers until later after we give our rating. So if you haven't seen it yet, maybe give this first part a listen, and then once we show that spoilers alert on the screen and the noise, and we make it very obvious, you can turn it off and go watch the film.
Yeah.
If you've seen it, go ahead and follow along with us.
Yep.
All right.
Or if you don't care
Oh,
about
well,
spoilers,
Yeah.
follow
Yeah.
along with us.
So, speaking of reviews,
Yeah.
I'll give the IMDb score. Hey, got that pretty
Yeah,
quick.
you said that smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll give Rotten Tomatoes score, and then we'll get into what we all thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so IMDb has this rated as a 6.1.
All right.
So
pretty good.
Yeah. So as we've talked about
It's
before,
respectable.
6.1 is a pretty good score for the horror genre.
Out of curiosity, sorry. Out of how many people is that though? This is still a fairly
Yeah.
new movie, so it's
Yeah. So it looks like whoop. 6,000. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, 6,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So that and 6.1 is some
Pretty good.
scores we've been seeing with some of our recent episodes that you may have listened to in Insidious. 6.1 was also the score of the first Insidious movie. So yeah,
Okay.
pretty good score.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes
Mhm.
has it as 61% on the tomato meter.
Hey, it's fresh.
It is
Yeah.
a fresh tomato. I think you have to be over 60
Yeah.
to
So it's barely fresh.
yeah just
Pretty
made it
ripe.
just made it it's just ripening. And the audience score is 66%.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the tomato score and IMDb are the exact same.
Yeah.
61 and a 6.1.
61% and
Okay.
61
Wow.
6. Yeah.
Lining up.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there we go. We'll see if we agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, as the description says, family lost a part of their family, mother and wife, start experiencing some things that are scaring them in the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has an intense beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like does a good job with a PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
Just like Insidious
Yeah.
franchise has done. I think this movie has some good scares, some good tension. I think it has a good story, good acting. They do a good job with like the atmosphere and the lighting and stuff, and when lights are on, when they're off. I think it plays into that fear of the dark very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, like when you guys were kids, if this happened. You always see it in like cartoons and stuff where the child's going to bed and it's dark, and once your eyes adjust, you feel like maybe you do see something in your room, but then you turn on the light and it's like a coat hanging up or something, but you feel like it's a person, or it could be. Like I was kind of getting like those kind of vibes where it just took me back to that time.
Yeah.
And that's cool, and I think everybody can relate to that. You know?
Yeah.
So I think it did a good job with kind of putting you in the child's position with the boogeyman.
The boogie.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I mean, I might have a couple of negatives. I'm trying to think of them, but yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I thought it was great. I thought the boogeyman, the way he looked, was even good. I mean, it wasn't bad.
I was thinking that was something that was going to be a negative for you.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It was okay for what it was. I think it was good for what it was. So
it makes sense that the Quiet Place writers were involved in this movie.
Yes, very much so. I didn't even think of that. It is kind of similar to those creatures. Yeah.
I can see that now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until we're doing this. So yeah.
What about you guys? What did you think? Katrina.
Okay, go.
I really liked this movie. Like you said, I wasn't really excited about it. I didn't have a huge desire to see it. The trailer didn't bother me. I only remember seeing one part of the trailer though, and then I stopped. Like I didn't watch it. And it's funny because we were in the theater together watching the trailer, but I just block it out. Like I just like I'm not looking, I'm not listening.
I just felt like the
so
trailer was kind of generic. Like I thought it
Yeah.
was just going to be kind of this run of the mill generic PG-13 horror film.
Yeah.
In summer, you know.
Yeah, it definitely didn't get you excited for it.
Yeah.
And it, I mean, the Boogeyman is just such a, I don't know, basic story, I guess, but it's like, it's such a basic story that I think that like we all grow up like fearing almost, that it's like, this is a little too close to home. I don't really want to watch that kind of thing. I, you know, hate the thought of like Freddy Krueger kind of thing, and like these things that really do seem scary, that really are like, I don't want to think too much about this kind of thing. And so I did not want to see it. I didn't want to give any kind of entertainment to that. But I was very glad that I saw it. I did really enjoy it. I liked how it handled the story. And there are some negatives that I have. I definitely have some on the forefront of my mind. But for the most part, I really like this movie.
Okay.
So Joel,
are we 3 for 3? Who knows?
Let's see.
So yeah, I went into this like, you know, I was just excited for like a new horror movie, because I'm always excited to see a new horror movie. I'm just, doesn't really matter what it is. It's just, I'm going to the movies to see a horror movie.
Yeah.
And
it had been like a month. There was like nothing in May.
Yeah, exactly. There was. Yeah, I don't even remember what the last one that I watched was. But yeah, so I went into it. My dad wanted to go, so he
cool.
went with me to it. Yeah, and yeah, so it really gets you from the first opening scene of this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, they went there.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in the spoiler section. But from there, I was like, oh, okay. It's, you know, it's PG-13, but you're stretching that 13 here right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I really liked. And then like it had a bunch of jump scares that I felt for the most part were earned. There were some that were kind of cheap.
Yeah.
But I liked the atmosphere of the movie. I liked her little light up ball that she carried around with her everywhere.
Yes.
You know, I was like, wouldn't that like burn your hands after a while? Isn't it like pure heat coming from that? But,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I was, but if it's LED, I don't think it'll.
Yeah, I'm sure it could.
Well, I'm definitely ordering one, so I'll let
I think
you guys
after
know.
a while, though.
Yeah.
You know, if it's on constantly, which it seems like it is.
Yeah.
Even if it's LED, like there's still heat coming from those to a certain extent. But I liked how it was utilized. How like when she used it, it was it made me jump a few times in this movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I loved it too. So I am on board with this. I did like the acting. There were a few characters that I wanted to see the Boogeyman get.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been sad if they had gotten, you know, attacked or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, I really like this movie. I thought it was great. It is very tropey. There's a lot to this movie that has been done several times in other movies.
What was that word, Joel?
Tropey.
I know.
Tropey. Okay.
You've never heard that word before?
Right when he said it, I saw you like.
I thought you
cliches.
said. Yeah, I thought you said chopey at first, and I'm like,
no.
Very tropey. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of cliches.
Cliches,
a lot of, like, typical
that have been
stuff.
used. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah, it was still the cliches were still done. Um, in my opinion, better than other movies with the same type of cliches because they're just utilized differently.
Well, the Boogeyman in general is a cliche, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can't do a Boogeyman movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can't really do a Boogeyman movie without being cliche.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
That is my
I guess
argument.
it kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to say, I would like to think that this, we've seen this movie before. We've seen, like you said, the tropes. We've seen just the darkness and the creature in the dark or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this, but this is like one of the better versions of it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was the cinematography, the shots, the atmosphere, the acting,
I think
maybe
the
just
writing,
a combination.
too.
Well, the story for sure is really good, but the scares, the way that they were set up, and I guess maybe the believability of the characters and how they were acting, the lighting, all that kind of stuff really can make a scene that could be just your typical horror scene, could make it very effective while it's still just a basic horror scene, like just something in the dark pops out or whatever, and or is there something there, is there not, the whole thing that's in like every horror movie. But for whatever reason, that combination of all those things made this is one of those better versions.
Well, I think also what I noticed is sometimes there were times where it was like you're expecting a jump scare and then you don't get anything.
Yeah.
And so it was like, that's where I agree
when it was going to happen.
Yeah. And that's where I agree that I think many of the jump scares were earned. I think that there definitely were a few that were like, I mean, they don't even stick out in my head, but I remember thinking like there were a few that were like, okay.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they were earned because it was like, it wasn't every time she glared her light over that you're going to get a jump scare or something or whatever it may be. But you didn't know when it was coming.
I would say that this is if you're a horror fan, this is a must see in theaters. I think the theater experience is important for this movie, for the the sound, the cinematography and everything. I think some of the shots are really cool, like when the camera was flipping over when she was like looking under the bed.
And
it was like
that camera shot was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Some of the transitions and stuff were good. So there was a second trailer that came out, if I remember correctly, because I remember the first trailer came out around the Super Bowl, and it was, like I said, very generic and didn't really get you too excited. But there was a second trailer that gave away a couple of the jump scares that would have been really effective if you hadn't known it was coming. Which we'll talk about in the spoilers because they are good.
There's at least
jump
one
scares
that I know of. That,
there's two that I can think of right now that were really good. But then actually seeing that second trailer got me kind of more excited because I was like, okay, this movie is going to be intense. Like if this stuff is in the movie, then I'm excited to see what else is in the movie.
But show one jump scene, maybe not multiple jump scenes. Of like, it's I mean, there are multiple jump scenes in the movie that they didn't show you in the trailers,
right?
But the one that I'm thinking of in particular, would have been really cool to have seen without that trailer.
Yeah, so. I agree. So that's a negative that I would give it, is just that second trailer, which is just kind of what it is these days.
Stop watching trailers.
I don't know if we
yeah,
can avoid it at this point.
It's not even really the fault of the movie. It's the fault. I mean, that's a whole different team of people that they get to do the trailers. So
it's the
it's
studio.
got nothing to do with like the
It's the studio that's doing it.
So it's a negative on the trailer, not the movie.
Yeah. Good point.
Like Joel said, and you agreed, and I agreed. There's a few characters that we disliked, which you're supposed to dislike.
Yeah,
but I was hoping that there was gonna be some, revenge, and
there was a scene where I was like, it could happen.
Yeah,
and
I think that it should have. And I guess maybe we're getting a little too far, so we'll stop there. But my other, like, one of the negatives that stands out to me that I think that you actually may see this as a positive, and Joel, I'm curious to see what you think, is the house was so confusing to me. Like, the layout of the house and all, I don't know, it just I didn't buy it as an actual house. I didn't buy it as like somewhere that someone lives.
There were scenes
because of the layout.
Yeah, the layout and the.
So there were scenes that definitely felt like the house was smaller in scenes than it did in scenes where, like, Sawyer's walking around with a lamp, and the house looks humongous. It looks like a mansion. The house is not
like
that
a
big.
castle or something. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, I mean, sometimes I'm like,
maybe
like
from
almost
her point of view?
are we in? Yeah, that's a good point. But like, it was like, are we in a different dimension? Are we in a different like are we in the upside down or something? Like, I don't understand. This house, it was confusing. And then other times it seemed like a real house, so it was like, what is happening? Is this filmed in a bunch of different houses? Like, what is this?
Yeah, during the day it felt like a house, and then at night is when the house like grew. It like became something much bigger, because like Sawyer's screaming throughout the whole movie and nobody's checking on her. Like, there's scenes that she's like screaming and she's being attacked and nobody's. So like, is her room soundproof or?
Well, and then other times they hear her right away. And and it's just like, it's like, how many floors are there in this house?
I didn't catch this stuff.
It was so weird. It was so weird. And just it really, I don't know. It just like all was just miscombobulated. Like, I don't know. It really took me out of, like, because I just kept trying to figure out, where are we in this house at this point? And like, where certain scenes were, where they were before. Like, there were certain scenes that took place in the same spot. And it just was like, we didn't even have any clue that that's where she was at again. And I don't know. It was weird. It was weird.
Okay.
So that's probably my biggest negative of the movie.
So I feel like there were a few scenes or a few instances where things could have been handled a little easier than the characters could have handled it a little easier than just continuing to go through these dark places.
Like turning on a light from time to time?
I wasn't gonna say that, but
Oh, okay.
Well, and it's like, and that was another thing though with the house, that it was like,
it was super dark house.
Are they like losing power, or like are there, is there a lack of lighting in this house, or
gotta save energy? It's a huge house.
yeah,
that bill's
yeah.
gotta be.
Well, it's a
crazy.
huge house until it's not a huge house.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it's just
At
like
night
a
it
couple
grows.
bedrooms and
And then
like yeah.
Yeah, I
And
did not catch that.
it just and it
That
didn't
bother
seem
me.
like a typical house. Like it,
This
Yeah.
is definitely the first negative of this type that I think
Yeah.
that I've heard
Yeah, the house
during
is
our
just-
reviews.
yeah,
The
but I
house
think
didn't
that the
seem like a
house-
house.
yeah, but I think that it had a lot to do with the movie.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I just it's just a funny thing to say.
funny
Yeah.
negative. Funny, not even like a negative. It's just like a funny thing to like just bring up. But
Observe, yeah.
I do remember feeling that way when Sawyer was walking around with her little bulb
Yeah.
light.
Yeah,
And,
that
like,
was a huge part.
This hallway is way too big. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was like, how long does this go? It reminds me of like when you're looking at pictures of houses for sale or something, and you can tell that they use the like 0.5 angle, because it's like there's no way that doorway is like this big, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
but-
a huge door.
yeah. It's like I don't think that they make doorways that big.
Yeah.
Or it's like not like a tall door; it's like a super wide door.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
some reason.
it's like really
like the
short.
ceiling just seems kind of normal, but the rest seems like so stretched out.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a two
Yeah.
doors, it's just one big
Yeah.
huge door.
Oh,
So yeah, it was like they
Yeah,
were
I
doing that
didn't-
kind of angling with the
gotta watch it again with that
Yeah.
in mind when it comes out.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I will.
Or watch it
'cause-
in theaters again because I mean,
Yeah.
I might. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Oh, he's been wanting to watch it
Yeah, I
over
do
and
wanna
over
see it
again.
I do
And I'm
wanna
like,
see it
we are
again.
not seeing that till we see the Little Mermaid.
Oh, double feature: Little Mermaid,
Yeah.
Boogeyman.
Yeah, they go very well together.
Oh yeah. Oh.
So
yeah.
I do feel like there were, and I was looking for it though when I was watching. Like, is there a light, that they could just turn on right now?
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of the scenes in the darkness, you have to go through the darkness to get to the light. You know what I mean? So,
Well, and you never
but they're
know.
scared to go into the
It's a
darkness.
metaphor.
Yeah.
So,
Gotta
Well,
go
and
through the darkness to get to the light.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
And you never know how long that darkness is going to last
Yeah.
because you don't know when
Because these
that
hallways
hallway
are
ends.
last forever. Yeah.
That's like a really long wall to get to the end.
And there's no switches,
Nope.
so you get the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think the other negative I would say is, like we said, there are certain characters that you're just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, the Boogeyman needs to out this one. And
yeah.
But it
and
makes
there
sense
were-
that they didn't.
no, not
Oh yeah,
in,
there was
yeah.
one that
Um,
it could have happened, but it depends on
Mhm.
and
where
it
they're
should
at.
have it. No,
Yes.
Depends
on
we'll
where
talk
they're
about
at
this
in their
Yeah,
journey.
well,
if you have seen this movie. Stay tuned for the spoilers because
yeah,
we will.
nobody
discuss
cares about this character's journey in life.
Yeah.
Just wanted this character gone.
There's a reason why I'm talking about the journey.
Yeah, but there were other times that it was like, okay, this is you're just like reacting like this or having this response just for the movie. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
not,
know.
like,
It was
realistic.
and
Yeah.
it was just kind of like,
It's too
really,
much.
come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's such a horror movie kind of thing
Yeah.
to do, and so I don't think that it's really a negative. It's more of a, oh, here we are with the horror, a
The
typical
tropies.
horror
Honestly,
movie. Yeah, there we go.
I'm gonna get into this in
Trophies.
the spoiler section, but it's a huge thing that Stephen King loves to do in his stories.
Mm.
And we'll talk because we haven't mentioned who these people are that we
Yeah.
that we want dead so badly.
I will say that that scene, I think that we're all talking about, that scene was so chaotic. Like it was anxiety inducing because of the different events that occur throughout that time. It was just like, that was intense. I was like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen here? And I want this to happen. And, you know, I'm like, this is wild. But it's not like, you know, this out of this world thing. It's just a really heated scene.
Yeah.
It was intense. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know that we should talk any more about this until we rate it.
Yeah.
I think we did. Yeah, we talked about some positives and negatives. So let's go ahead and rate it. We'll start with you, Joel. What you got?
Okay. All right. So I'm going to give this one a 91.
Okay. Yeah, we're in the 90s.
Yeah.
Joel's in.
We've been in a good mood for these movies.
I like this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. Yeah, this is definitely a must buy when it comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got?
Me first?
Yeah.
Me now?
You first.
I'm gonna go 92.
Oh man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say something from there. You're like, yeah. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
No more explanation than that.
I was thinking in 93.
Wow.
So
91,
we gotta just
going up us.
All right.
So
I'm glad we went in that order.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It would have gone down if we went Katrina, Danny, and me.
I know. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So yeah. Okay.
So we liked it. Obviously, go check it out. If you like horror films, you will enjoy this one. There's been some reviews that I've seen of horror fans that thought it was okay. So I haven't seen anybody say it was bad. I'll give you that. So go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. All right.
I did think that you were gonna give it a higher score than me.
Oh.
So I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yeah. Let's get into spoilers.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
We need the sound for it again. I miss it.
So, this movie deals with grief, which I do kind of feel like is becoming somewhat of a common theme.
Yeah.
In the horror movies, especially with like A24 and stuff. I feel like, you know, that's an underlying kind of message that we're going through.
Well,
I do like the message though.
Grief and trauma in general.
Trauma, mental health, you know, it's all kind of wrapped up, you know, together. And I feel like that is horror though. You know, that's like the psychological horror. And this is like a psychological horror film with a monster.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. As much as we see that a lot in horror right now, I feel like I don't get tired of it.
Yeah.
Well, something that I feel like is I can get tired of it and can get kind of frustrated with it if it's not done right.
Yeah, I can see
that.
that.
But this is a movie that I felt like, okay, they handled it correctly.
Yeah.
I was kind of on the edge about the ending of whether I felt like they handled that correctly. And so I want to talk more about that at the very end.
Okay.
But before we get there, we can kind of
so let's you know, so we got the mother died. We know that that opening scene.
Let's talk about the opening scene.
So when it first started, you know, you got this toddler in their like crib bed. She's, you know, she's scared, and you know, the typical like boogeyman kind of thing. And I thought, oh gosh, really, we're gonna start like this? Like this is kind of lame.
It was talking to her too.
Yeah, but then once it started talking to her,
I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
well, yeah,
and the voice there,
and it was able to, and then it was able to get the voice of
her dad.
Her dad,
yeah,
and did her mom come into that too, or I don't remember.
No,
but
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, her mom is the character later in the movie.
Well, no, but I mean, like, was that part? Did it get the voice over the mom too?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was just the dad because she was like, "Dad, no," and then we see blood splatter on the picture,
and
yeah,
her baby go quiet. I'm like, wow. You didn't show it, but like, oh man, you're really pushing the boundaries of your PG-13 here.
Yeah,
killing off kids is something that's happened in horror movies, but killing off a baby, that's a little that's like killing off a puppy in in a movie. It's just like it can be done, but it's gonna piss a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like it's a little worse than killing off a puppy.
Well, I mean, to a lot of people, animals are like sacred and like must not be hurt in movies at all in general. So
I know
that's for those people.
Yeah.
But yeah. So with that, I was confused at first because I thought that it was the girl or the baby of the family that we're following.
Yeah. I was thinking
until we find out that it was just the mom that died. I was like, okay, well then whose baby is this? So
it
was the point of this opening scene.
Yeah.
And it was the dad that went in to see the main character and talk about like how his kids died. So my main thing with that is that he says that the baby died of SIDS.
Well, the baby did.
Well, yeah.
This was an older
This was a
child.
toddler.
Yeah.
Like, it was a older, not an infant.
Yeah.
Because it was standing up in the crib.
Yeah. Oh, okay. When you said baby, I thought it was because when you said toddler, I was like I think it's a little smaller than a toddler, but maybe it is. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah. Okay. She was standing in the crib. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like.
I mean, she had her hands up too. Like she wasn't like just standing there.
Right. She was holding onto the railing.
Yeah, but but the baby that died from SIDS was just an infant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he had said like,
I was like, that's not a SIDS death. Sorry. That's blood splattered on pictures. That's not what happens. But,
yeah. So what the thing is because the baby died from SIDS, it brought this grief into the family.
Yeah.
And that's what made them susceptible to the boogeyman. And that's how his other two kids died, was from the boogeyman. And he was being blamed for their murder.
Yeah.
For the murder of those two kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was creepy.
He was.
When they like showed him in the background, he was like coming into the house and stuff. I'm like, what's this movie going to turn into? Like, I thought this was the boogeyman. Like, is this a slasher now? Or like, what's going to happen with this guy? So I like that scene a lot when he was, coming into the house and describing why he was coming to the doctor and stuff. And I thought, okay. He did a really good job acting and raising the suspense in that scene.
That actor has actually been around for a long time. He's usually like side characters and stuff, but he's actually a pretty good actor in general. But he did a really good job, and I was kind of hoping that the dad didn't walk out of the room because I kind of wanted to know like the backstory from the guy. When it's like, what's he gonna say at this point? We find out we find out throughout the movie and everything, so it's not that big of a deal. But it's just like I kind of wanted like more from that scene, like more of their scene, and then maybe we can get the rest of it because the rest of it was also needed. Him like walking through the house and
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing here, dude? It's not your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he hangs himself, or the boogeyman hangs him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was intense.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so in the closet, so let's just jump to the scene that we were talking about with the friends who she decides to. She's trying to get her friendships back, after being out of school and dealing with all this, and she has her one best friend who kind of convinces her to try to have this sleepover, night of fun with the girls. Let's invite all the friends and stuff. So they do, and then they
And
start
that's one of the
smoking
parts
weed.
that I felt like was a little convenient.
I did think it was kind of like,
Like-
why are you doing this? Like, we're just jumping into this now? Like,
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
I didn't think that she would actually invite the friends over.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be something like she invites her best friend over,
Yeah.
and then they end up coming later,
Right.
and and she gets mad, like, why did they come? Like, this was supposed to be just me and you, something.
Some different setup.
Because it was really like, it didn't go with the whole feeling and character, and everything, for her to just be okay with inviting them, especially with the things that this girl was saying to her and stuff.
I mean, it also
pushed her.
didn't. It was also like out of character for them to even show up in the first place, because it's clear that these girls don't like her. So why are they?
Why would they
going
want
to a house that they were? And I mean, it's for this jump scare. It's like everyone's like everyone in the audience at this point. The first moment that you meet these girls are like, I need something to happen to these people, and so this is the way of getting us to be like, okay, maybe something will happen.
That's what I was thinking.
And then they fall short.
It's the only way that makes sense that they, would be in any danger at all, because it's this family that's being haunted by the boogeyman. It's nobody else, as far as we know.
Yeah.
Except for the mom later on in the movie. So yeah, we needed some way of getting these girls in some sort of danger, that the audience, most of the audience, really wanted to have happen. It's kind of messed up to feel like that about high school kids, but it's a movie.
Yeah, with what they were saying to her.
And that is something that I thought. Like, I thought, oh, cool, we're gonna up the body count. Like, I'm like, okay, we're gonna get some kills.
Yeah.
That's why they're coming over. It's just setting that up.
Yeah.
And that scene that it set up, though, was, I think, even more effective than just, one of the girls going into a room and the boogeyman killing them or something. Could have done that, could have been the boogeyman could have been taking them out,
Yeah.
But this scene where she gets locked in the closet and she's trying to get out and it's dark and then the boogeyman's right there in the corner, like, that jump scare was pretty crazy. And when she then gets out of the closet and they're like, it was locked, we couldn't open it or whatever, and then they get into a fight, it's just so frantic. And I don't know if it was, well, I think it was a combination of the acting was believable and just the frantic camera work. It was really like moving around a lot, and it really added to the scene. And that jump scare, it was like the jump scare, but then there was no breathing. Like it was just like the jump scare. Oh my gosh! And then this like chaos right after the jump scare. It was just like one thing after another. So I thought that scene was really effective. I was like, oh, put her in the closet. Like, I wanted to put that other girl in the closet.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about what I was saying. Is the boogeyman wouldn't have come for her because she was not in that stage of grief.
Yeah, and where I disagree with that is that she makes it a point to say how she also has experienced loss. And she is like, but I got over it and whatever. And it's like, but did you really? Because the way that you're treating other people is clearly you still have issues. Clearly
Wasn't the
you
loss...
still...
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Wasn't the loss, though, that her mom just left? Like, she didn't have a loss of an actual human being, like, die. I think that was the whole point of that whole thing, was to show that she's shallow because she's comparing her mom leaving her to this girl's mom dying. I think that was the whole...
Yeah, but see, I think her comparing those shows how much grief she still is in. That it is loss for her, and it is grief, and she's in denial of that grief.
See, you're adding things that we aren't sure about.
No, we are sure about because we watched the film. And I understand her human psychology in that.
Well,
anyways,
the Boogeyman, yeah, I wanted it to happen too, but the Boogeyman was only after this family. It wasn't after the other people, and then the other lady, the older lady in the abandoned home. Boogeyman was after her too, because of her grief that she was going through. So
see, but if they had killed off this other girl, then that could have left it open for the Boogeyman to continue to live on.
It could have lived through the grief of the other girls that witnessed.
The other girls,
the family,
and the family of that girl. And so they could have left it open for additional movies to spin off of that.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so if, let's say, it took her in that scene, and then we get like a end credits or a mid credits scene of like the funeral or something of her. And it's like the mother and the father, and then like there's, I don't know, they're under a tree, there's a shadow, and they see something, or something like that to end the movie with. That would have been cool.
Yep. So you should have killed her.
Yeah.
But honestly, though, everyone, like, out of 8 billion people in the world, like there's people every day that go through grief and trauma. So
yes,
technically, the Boogeyman will never die.
Yes, but we definitely wanted to see her get something coming to her. Plus, like, the whole idea that the reason why the Boogeyman accessed them next, this family next, almost was as if it was brought by the dad. But at the same time, I don't think so, because as I'm saying that, I'm like contradicting myself in my head, because the girl was already freaked out from the dark.
The little girl.
So Sawyer. I think she was already experiencing the Boogeyman before that guy even came.
Yeah. His character was necessary for the like drawings and stuff.
Yeah.
Because then he was able to,
and for us to understand
and what the Boogeyman is,
and understand the opening credits.
The opening scene, So, there were a couple of scenes, like I was saying, that were in the second trailer that would have been really cool to not have seen in the trailer. One of them was when the older sister is, I think she's coming back from when she went to the like abandoned home, and she's coming back. She's kind of storming into the house, and the Sawyer's talking to her about the monster or whatever, and she's like, "There's no such thing as monsters," and she goes into her room, shuts the door, and then Sawyer's knocking, and she walks toward the door, and then boom, the Boogeyman just breaks through the door. That was a really cool scene.
Yeah,
but it was in the trailer, so I knew it was coming. But that's a good jump scare.
It was.
Yeah. And then the other one is when the dad takes the younger sister home from the hospital, and he's in the doorway of the house, and the older sister calls him on the phone, and she's trying to like get back to the home, and he's there, and then he gets just taken into the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That part was cool too, but it was in the trailer.
I don't remember that in the trailer.
Yeah, it was in the second trailer.
Okay.
And Sawyer getting thrown against the TV was in the trailer as well. But that was short, like it was like a real quick thing, so you didn't really know when it was coming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the one with the dad in the doorway,
I have a problem with that scene.
Which one? The girl getting thrown?
Where she gets thrown into the TV.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It happens the same. It happens the same night as I think the girls.
Yeah.
Are over
the closet night. Yeah.
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 Yep.
And Sawyer's already been through. Like the scene is also in the trailers where, she has her little ball of light and like the closet door. This part, I don't think that part was in the trailer where the door like slams open.
Yeah,
that made me jump. I was expecting it to gradually open, and then the creature like crawls underneath the bed.
Yeah,
and then that's when the whole like camera angle turns.
Yeah,
and she throws the ball underneath.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite scene.
Yeah, that scene, at least that part with the bed is in the trailers. But so she's already gone through all this stuff, and she's gonna play video games in the dark.
Yeah.
Like what? Come on, like you know better than this. Like,
yeah,
you're in the same house as this thing.
Yeah,
turn a light on. Like
that's
the light
true.
on the TV is not really gonna do anything for you.
Yeah. And this isn't that was another part where it was like, okay, this room looks like a normal like room to a house, but then it's like, where the heck are the rest of the family? Like, how far away were they in this other stuff happening? And I don't know. It was like, I felt like she was in a whole nother house, like in a whole.
It was just a little later. Everybody left, and because the dad was telling her like, okay, you get to play video games as long as you want.
Yeah,
it was like, she was having her friends over. She gets to do what she wants. So it was just a little later.
Yeah, it was just.
Everybody left.
The whole environment just felt weird.
Yeah.
And then at the hospital, didn't the dad say that Sawyer? It was like in Sawyer's head what was going on. Like why?
He kind of
in the first place.
Yeah, it's like, dude.
So she threw herself through the TV.
I know. I know.
Yeah. He did make a line about like how it was like
it was all in her head.
Her doing
Yeah.
Okay, your TV's broken, dude. I don't know.
But he didn't see her get thrown to the TV.
Yeah.
Oh, he saw.
So just get mad at the game and just break.
Yeah, did he think she threw the controller or something?
Maybe she punched the TV.
Yeah, and then just like fell off the couch.
Yeah, she was really upset and ended up hurting herself.
Yeah, or she threw herself against the TV because she was so pissed at how the game
she
was
pulled
going.
She pulled a Jill from Scream 4 and just threw herself against walls against and doors. And
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think of the end where they're in the therapy session? The dad finally kind of puts it all out there, and it seems like a resolution, and then she hears the therapist call her back in.
Yeah.
And she goes back in. The therapist is like, can I help you? Like, I didn't call you. And then the doors open and she goes and shuts the door.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of that?
Well, I'm still trying to decide how I feel about her even being called back in. Like, I feel like we needed a little bit more to why she was being called back in.
The Boogeyman was calling her back in.
Well, I know that. In relation to her grief, she got what she was needing from her dad. And I feel like we needed just a tiny little bit of her, like, I don't know, seeing something that caused her to feel like it wasn't quite enough from her dad, or I don't know, something that then all of a sudden the Boogeyman was able to access her again. And so then the therapist says, because it was like, why did the therapist say, I mean, I know the therapist didn't actually say it, but why in did they pinpoint her? You know, and I don't remember her name. I want to say like Gracie or something, but whatever.
Sadie?
Sadie.
The girl,
yeah. Sadie, can you stay? It was like, okay, why did she get pinpointed in that? And then, but I did like that she went over there and then she closed the door. And was like, no, I'm not gonna.
I think it's just that, it's just that, like, those feelings, you can let it kind of consume you, or you can, shut it.
I
don't know.
Yeah, I did like that part. I just was like trying to decide how I felt about
I was
her
getting
being
a little
called
worried.
back in.
I was like, oh man, what's gonna happen?
It
got me on edge.
Yeah, it definitely did.
I was like, oh, this is creepy.
Yeah.
And I knew it was like coming to the end of the movie. You can tell. I was like, oh man, are we gonna get like a cliffhanger here or something? Or is there gonna be a good jump scare right here? Or what's gonna happen? So I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to think about it either. I do like the fact that she closed the door. And we also find out that this creature, the Boogeyman, has been around since like the beginning of time. So someone like mentioned that. So it's like, I'm pretty sure this thing's been quote unquote killed many times in the past.
Yeah.
So they didn't really need, I don't know, I guess her closing the door is an end for her chapter, but there's going to be a sequel. There's going to be more of these movies.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
it didn't do very well.
it didn't?
Well, I think it did okay. I think, but it cost more. Like, I think it was a $35 million budget, and it made 20.
Oh.
Opening weekend?
Or no, 12.
Oh.
12, but 20 worldwide. But 12.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Domestic.
Huh.
That's
crazy. But it was supposed to go to streaming. And then it ended up in theaters. So it was one of those, like Evil Dead Rise. So in that case, then you could say, okay, it's probably a success. And I think it's getting good reception too. So I hope that there's a sequel. I just, money wise, I don't know.
Well, there would definitely be a good sequel if they had killed that one girl.
Yeah, your pitch would have worked well.
Yeah.
Wow. 35 million estimate, and it grossed 27.5 million.
Okay.
They haven't even made their money back, and 35 million that doesn't usually include like marketing either. That's something different. So movie typically has to
I don't know,
make 3 times its budget in order to be a success. So.
I don't know how it costs that much.
I don't either.
I feel like
where's the money go?
I feel like there's a lot of
all the houses.
A huge set. I feel.
I mean, I'm sure the writers are probably not cheap.
Right.
Like,
those writers have a reputation right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen King. I'm sure he got a payday for it.
Yeah.
Rob Savage is making a name for himself as a director. So
yeah,
it did have a good production team. But
the
actors,
even though like the actors,
I was gonna say Sawyer is
sort of the
quite
biggest
the
name
actor.
in the movie, basically from what she's been in.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely some reputation with them too. But I feel like there's a lot of horror movies that are a lot less expensive
Yeah.
that have more going on. Like
Mhm.
Hmm.
this had the Boogeyman, like you
Yeah.
know, but he was CGI.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Mostly,
wasn't
I would
sure.
imagine.
So that's my other like not positive is I wasn't sure how I liked the look of him.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
There were times where I was like, I don't know if I like it, but
It's like a Cloverfield
ultimately, yeah,
Quiet
ultimately
Place
I did kind of like
monster.
it. Yeah,
yeah, I didn't like that part. I didn't like, especially when it came in and grabbed her and flew her across
Yeah.
the thing.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I didn't like that it was flying. I didn't like that it was like
when it was like
this
sucking out her
dinosaur
soul.
type thing.
Mhm.
When it was like sucking out her soul and it like opened its mouth and then it
Yeah.
had like a face.
Stranger Thing type thing.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I thought that looked cool.
I thought it was cool when it was under the bed.
Yeah.
And like when you just saw the hand.
Yeah.
Like those are
Mhm.
the things I liked.
Yeah. It did a good job with kind of gradually showing you
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bits of it.
Well,
Yeah.
and I almost felt like it would have been even better to just not see the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
I was
keep
wondering
it
if it
as
was
a
going to be
mystery.
a mystery
Mhm.
throughout. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even when it did show it, it was like quick. It wasn't like you
Mhm.
got like
Yeah.
a perfect view of it
Yeah,
for
but
a
I
long
felt like
period
it was
of time.
tainted with the few times that it was like, really, that's what the Boogeyman looks like? I don't. That's not what
Yeah.
I think
No,
of.
I
Mhm.
wouldn't think that the Boogeyman would look like
Yeah.
that either.
Like
Yeah.
a giant spider.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
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 Classic Stephen King
Screw up.
creator or creature. Yeah.
Creature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
That's like.
that. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna mention the whole like what I was talking about before, the Stephen King part of this was the fact that in a lot of his stories, the bullies are extremely over the top.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Like
these girls
That's
were,
exactly
yeah,
what I was just going to compare
yeah.
it to was it.
It and like Stand By Me, like it was another
Yeah.
one that the bullies were just like were just basically sociopaths. And
Yeah.
like the girls weren't that bad, but they were
That one girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was bad. So that's
Yeah.
definitely a thing with Stephen King is you know
Okay.
he likes his tormented characters to be
Yeah.
really tormented. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, the character, the like design of the creature,
Right.
it was like an It type
Yeah.
of thing,
It
like
looked
where it's
better
like
than
it's
that,
super
but
scary.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's like super scary until you like actually show its whole
Yeah.
thing, and then you're like,
Mm.
That's
really?
kind of weak. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the fire? The usage of the fire with, she was kind of
Well-
doing the thing with the flame, like,
Yeah.
the seance or whatever she was doing. And then they ended up using the
Yeah.
lighter with
Oh,
the,
I was totally waiting for that.
spray.
Yeah.
Were you? I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
even connect it until
Right
they
when
did it.
she had that bottle, I was like,
Yeah.
I know exactly what's gonna happen with that.
I was like, oh my gosh, somebody is going to die here. And
Yeah.
then she did that. I was like, oh, genius.
Yeah. Well, and I was a little disappointed that I felt like it was very obvious that was
I
going to
didn't.
happen. I don't know. I remember as a kid doing that,
Yeah, okay.
like
I never did those things.
Oh yeah, that was the best part of Hairspray and that kind of
Trina
stuff.
just wanted to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Burn herself.
But yeah, so right when the can was involved, I saw that coming. But I was thinking even before then the use of the fire in the other house, in the original house. Again,
The
that
candles
house like turned into this huge house that it's like, oh my gosh, the hallway again, that hallway kept going and going and like, oh my goodness, how many rooms and twists and turns and like, and is this a house that is lived in?
I know.
Is it not?
That's what I was.
Is it 2
wait.
stories? Is it 1 story?
Yeah.
What
How
is
many
happening?
floors is this?
Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, like how far do these candles go? And now all of a sudden we're in a room that's like not even a full room, like it's like walls are torn down, and what is this? Like
Yeah, the stuff with the like, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of like vines.
Yeah,
throughout the
that
house and
that
stuff.
was okay to me, just because I liked the feel of it.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of Mr. McGorgam's Wonder Emporium, and like
it reminded me of Jumanji.
Oh, but I don't know. I liked the feel of it. It was
basically like the Boogeyman is really taking over.
Yeah,
he's really.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And I like that in like you can tell when it's like it's creeping in.
Yeah,
and and like again with the grief, it's like your whole world just starts getting darker and darker.
Yeah.
And so I liked the feel of that. It was just the house was like, where do they find these houses? like where was this even taking place? And I don't know.
I'm guessing. I mean, I didn't notice this stuff, but I'm guessing that it was shot in multiple places, or they just had a set for some of the scenes. That it wasn't actually in a house; it was just in a studio or whatever.
I figure that, but it's like still, you can still make it look like a house. Like, and then it was like at one point they had to drive like really far to get to this house. Like, and it was like, where are we going? Where are we going?
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's like she runs back to her house. And it's like, you just had to drive like forever to get here, and now you're just running home. Like
I did pick up on that during the movie. I thought that was kind of lame too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she ran to the house, the broken down house, then she had to run to her house.
Yeah. And I think that she ran to the hospital. Yeah. So it's like, man, everything is just very conveniently placed.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that the hospital may have been close to the house that she was going to, because that's where she was when she was called to come over as soon as possible. So she may have
jumped on a bus.
I was saying she may have
she was
ran
on
there.
her feet. She was
and
running.
then, but then whose car would she have used to? So I was thinking that she like ran there and then ran back to the hospital to get her car, I guess, and then take her car back home. But it's like if she had her car in the hospital, then she would have driven to the house.
Yeah.
So
no,
I don't know.
She
it
was off.
Yeah.
It was a little off in that.
Yeah.
So
I could see that.
Yeah. Just some of those things. What's up with the houses? What's up with the location of where everything is at? So
okay. All right. Well, overall, it was good.
Yeah. We need to get the writers on here and ask them these questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty available writers. They
for sure.
They don't have a lot going on, so I'm sure that they would easily.
Are they
or
writing?
We could get Stephen King on here and be like, what's up with
because
he's the original writer of the story. So
yeah,
are they writing the new A Quiet Place, the like day one or whatever they're calling it?
I'm not sure how involved they are. I'm not sure if they're like writing it. I think they're mentioned on IMDb for it because they're the like creators of the creatures or whatever. They're the characters. So whenever that happens, the writers are always involved on IMDb, even if they're not actually involved in the movie. Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't really looked it up. I'm not sure if they're writing or how involved
just getting credit for characters and stuff.
Yeah.
So I know you named the writers, but it wasn't one of the writers for The Quiet Place, Jim?
No, he was a director.
Oh, he was a director. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think he's involved in the new one though. The next one.
Really?
Yeah, from what I remember, at least when the second one came out, he said that he was done with that franchise.
Yeah, I don't think he's. Yeah, I don't think he's involved in it anymore.
Yeah, well,
Man,
this
he's
is
my
a
favorite part.
new. This is like this is a completely different family. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, I want Jim to be involved in some way, at least direct it or something.
Yeah,
still.
No.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
anyway, we're totally off topic.
There you go. There was our review of the Boogeyman.
This has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let the Boogeyman.
That was very obvious.
I know.
I had to do it.